Underneath our feet lies the weight of millennia. Millennia of nature based solutions, of ancestral ways of being, of stories whispered by the water and the wind, a millennia of life sustaining knowledge rooted deep into the fabric of the earth. Here, in the wetlands, Earth's pulse personifies in a rhythm that transcends the ticking of clocks or the turning of seasons. Time is not measured in years, but rather in the symphony of interconnected organisms that ebb and flow together with the tides. This is a world of symbiotic harmony, where every species plays a vital role in the intricate web of life. In nature's grand design, wetlands stand as the kidneys of the world, mirroring the vital role these organs play within our bodies, purifying and cleansing the waters that flow through their labyrinth channels. Like silent guardians, they filter pollutants and waste, ensuring the purity of our planet's lifeblood. Yet, beyond their function as nature's filters, wetlands embody a deeper significance, a sacred balance of life that resonates across the globe. Though they cover less than 6% of the Earth's land surface, they are one of the most biologically diverse habitats in the world. It's here where 40% of the Earth's flora and fauna find sanctuary, weaving a tapestry of existence as diverse as it is wondrous. When storms unleash their fury and rains cascade, wetlands become guardians of the land, acting like sponges and flood and erosion control zones, absorbing excess water. Wetlands are a gift to the planet in its battle against the climate crisis. Collectively, they store more carbon than all of the planet's forests combined. Globally, over 1 billion people directly depend on wetlands for their livelihoods. Their lives are intricately intertwined with the ebb and flow of these sacred waters, which provide essential resources such as food, water supplies, transportation, and recreation. Since the 1970s, a staggering 35% of the world's wetlands have been lost to the tide of so-called progress. In my home state of North Carolina, legislators continue to take aim at wetlands protections. Last June, the Republican supermajority in the General Assembly voted to remove environmental protections for 2.5 million acres of wetlands. The removal of these protections will mean more severe flooding for homes, roads, and businesses, and heightened concerns about polluted water, especially for people living in the environmentally vulnerable communities in eastern North Carolina. What's most concerning about this is how many of the people in power still fail to realize that we thrive because and when the wetlands thrive. And this has been no truer than in the story of the Walnut Creek wetlands right here in Raleigh, North Carolina. In the quiet whispers of the Walnut Creek wetlands, as a teen, I discovered lessons echoing through the reeds. It's a story of love, faith, and the transformative power of Black organizing. The Walnut Creek watershed meanders 46 square miles from the town of Cary across southeast Raleigh before finally joining up with the Neuse River and eventually flowing to the ocean. The section of the watershed that cuts through southeast Raleigh is also home to two of the oldest historically Black subdivisions in Raleigh, built in a floodplain.
In 1956, the city of Raleigh planned two Black communities during segregation. One was Rochester Heights, right next to the Walnut Creek wetland. Even though residents were promised that their homes would not flood, their homes flooded. The Walnut Creek wetland is where the city of Raleigh discharged raw sewage from 1887 until 1956. So the same year the city stopped discharging raw sewage into Walnut Creek was the time in which the city zoned this area for Black people to live.
The quiet yet pervasive intersections of redlining and environmental racism would continue to disproportionately affect the community here for years. Issues exacerbated by the continued use of Walnut Creek as an unofficial trash dump for the city, predatory practices that did not inform new homeowners of flood risk, and urban developments within the watershed and around the growing downtown center that confines and encroaches on the floodplain. That was until the mid-1990s when faith found action.
It was in 1995 when the leader of our altar guild came to the rector, Reverend Arthur Calloway, and said, "I'm tired of my basement flooding. Do something." Reverend Calloway reached out to Dr. Norman Camp, a church member and environmentalist, and he started Episcopalians for Environmental Justice with two other Episcopal churches, one in Cary, one in Fuquay-Varina. It became clear very soon that we needed to expand the circle outside of the Episcopal context in order to partner with nonprofits and government. So we changed the name to Partners for Environmental Justice, and that nonprofit exists today. One of the first things the PEJ did in St. Ambrose was the wetland cleanup. We pulled thousands of tires out of Walnut Creek. We pulled out autoclaves, which are sterilization equipment, medical sterilization equipment. When we were preparing to build the Walnut Creek Wetland Center, it was a car graveyard. We were not able to drive the stakes to serve as the footers for the building because there were cars buried, tens of cars buried underground. And so that was the genesis of the environmental movement dealing with flooding and environmental injustice.
I didn't know it at the time, but this story of community-led resistance, triumph, and the Norman and Betty Camp Wetland Center would also become my genesis, only some 13 years later. Back in 8th grade, I first reluctantly stepped into the Walnut Creek wetlands as a part of a service learning project tasked with developing a field guide for exploring urban wetlands. I vividly remember how I initially dreaded the idea of mucking around in the mud. But every Friday that semester, as I waded through vernal pools in search of crawfish and salamander, I found myself transformed, touched forever by the unwavering beauty of the natural world right in my backyard that for so long had gone unnoticed and uncared for. I decided in that moment to dedicate myself to transforming our planet, our community, and our collective future.
And so Partners for Environmental Justice was very instrumental with the city building this incredible building, this edifice that we are now participating in. And it's been a great place for local residents and local community children to learn about the wetland area and the importance of really supporting advocacy around protecting both our wildlife habitat and also our water creek. And so now we're not only looking at this being a place of educating our young people in our community, but now it's an opportunity for us to come together and discuss these issues and address these issues face on.
From the wetland lore of ancient Greece, to the waterways of Africa, to the Great Dismal Swamp, across cultures, wetlands have been considered sacred spaces associated with mysticism and spirituality. Wetlands have always been transcendent spaces that have taught me that the answers we seek lie in the quiet rhythms of the earth that take place every second. As I reflect on the profound lessons of harmonic oneness, coexistence, and balance embodied in the wetlands, I realize that something calls to me from the soil and the water. I am sacred because the wetlands are sacred. I am resilient because the community here is resilient. I am wise because I am rooted in the ancestral wisdom that flows like the gentle, fertile freshwater where the goddess Oshun resides. She teaches us the beauty of harmonious relationship, the essential role of balance in our world, and inspires us to embrace and uphold the delicate ecosystem that sustains all life on Earth. Through nature-based perspectives, we can discover a path forward imbued with harmony and balance. It invites us to cultivate a world where every voice is heard and every soul is cherished.
St. Ambrose views itself as being one with nature, that being one with the Walnut Creek wetland. Typically in Ubuntu is talked about relationship among people. We take that to mean relationship among all created order. We feel that the wetland is not what it can be until we are what we are to be. In order for us as a congregation to reach our fullest potential, the wetland has to reach its fullest potential. We are caught up in this network and web of mutuality. I am, St. Ambrose is, because the wetlands are.